Every day I would wake up and be like, oh my god, today I'm going to work on this because I want to achieve this mission. Okay, I don't know how I looked, and I am looking at the camera lens hoping that the focus is still there. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a hot minute since the last video I posted, which was when I was still back in college or on campus. And I took my sweet time to really settle here at this new place where I am working. And before anything, I thought it would be worth talking about whether this early graduation was worth it. For those who don't know me or who haven't watched the past few videos on my YouTube channel, I am Jennifer. I started college in fall 2017, so I was traditionally a part of class of 2021. But in the summer right before my senior year, I took a last-minute decision to graduate a semester early due to personal circumstances. And so I became a Feb from previously being a reg, as what people at Middlebury would call, I Feb myself. There's nothing bad about like febbing yourself, it's more just that Middlebury has this long-term tradition of splitting classes into two. So that would be a reg class and a Feb class. So reg class is a class of people or students starting their college in the fall, which is typically what US colleges do. And then the Feb class is a class of people who either start or end their college in February. I really appreciate the flexibility that Middlebury offers to students regarding when they want to start college, and it's become more common than uncommon these days with COVID, and people have been taking gap semesters, gap years. But what's kind of unique about my situation, as well as other people that I realized febbed themselves or graduated a semester early, was that it's not that typical to graduate early, just at all. Especially because of the academic workload that Middlebury provides students with. It's not that easy to really get all the credits and make sure that you are eligible for early graduation. With all that said, I'm going to talk about whether it was actually worth graduating a semester early, because I don't think I've done that at all. And you probably are wondering what I'm up to. I'm going to list out the things that I've done, and so you can decide whether it was actually worth it from my discussion. Since graduation in February, which I think happened a year and a week ago exactly, oh my god, it actually, okay, because today's February 20th, and I believe I graduated on February 13th, so it really has been a year and a week since graduation. So I had a lot of time to myself. I knew that I would have at least 4 months before my job. And when I signed my job offer, I was told that I would have the option to start my job anytime between June and September. And obviously, because of the upcoming early graduation, I told myself, like, obviously I'm going to start my job in June. Like, I'm not going to take another 3 months when I could be earning money, like when I could get the bag. Turns out we didn't have the option anymore. I was informed of that news I think a few weeks after my graduation. I had to decide or kind of figure out what I wanted to do in those 3 or 4 months that I had already had. But then on top of that, I was informed that I was gonna have like 3 extra months. So that was like 7 months of no academic pressure, no academic responsibilities, but more of a time to myself. And I think my old roommate would agree with me on this lifestyle that she had seen literally every single day for those 7 months. I would wake up in the morning, wake up at 6 or 7, because I was in LA and my college, or Middlebury, was on the East Coast, so I would have to figure out and live with the time difference. And so I would wake up pretty early at 6, work out for at least an hour or 2, and then had nothing else to do. I mean, I would ask myself, like, well, okay, what am I gonna do today? I just needed to figure out how to kill this time. Like, I had so much time to myself that I was kind of desperate for things. Middlebury had taught me a lot of things, but if there was anything that Middlebury taught me that I applied every single day in this time, it would have to be toxic productivity, because I felt guilty for not doing things. I felt guilty for not being productive which I was back in college because there were so many assignments, so many, you know, academic responsibilities that were just gone in the blink of an eye. It was kind of a 180-degree change in my lifestyle, and so I ended up looking at different neighborhoods in LA. I was living in West LA. I primarily looked into those areas. I didn't want to kind of venture out. The place that I would venture out would be like Glendale, but not like East LA because that's kind of far for me. I would go thrifting. I spent so much money on thrifting. I had money that I did not know how to spend on. And I also tell myself or set these unrealistic goals to learn Chinese and Italian. Have I started on either of those? Yeah. Can I conversationally speak with locals? Absolutely not. But I did learn about self-sufficiency, self-autonomy, and self-accountability. So I bought a HSK1 book, and I also made an account in Duolingo for Chinese and Italian. I worked through the first few chapters, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna get back to that though. I also try to do a lot of side projects. I like to play with data for storytelling and make any informed insights that could be helpful for a community. And so I actually did a side project on transplant stuff. At the time I was watching Grey's Anatomy, I was hearing like all this transplant stuff. Okay, well I kind of want to see like the access to transplant surgeries, or you know, just anything about transplant over the years, especially during COVID. I guess I did something academic in that way. And speaking of Grey's Anatomy, I had watched a lot of shows like Vincenzo. It's definitely not Italian accent. It's like K-drama based off of this like Italian mafia fiction, and I just immersed myself with it. And I think that was pretty much the peak reason that I taught myself, or I try to teach myself Italian. It's my daily coffee. With all that said, I found the most favorite hobby, which is reading. Reading was easily the most accessible way to grow and reflect on myself. I cannot stress enough how much I appreciate it this time. And you know, 4 months and then 7 months, like over half a year. How does one do that? And I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any avenue through which I could gain some recommendations or suggestions on how to go about this changed lifestyle. I was pretty much on my own. It wasn't like the world was falling apart or anything, but if I could go back, I wish I could tell myself that I deserved this break. After so many projects and some sleepless nights that I spent making side projects and just working on myself academically, it took me so much time for me to realize that I just deserve this. And reading books, specifically nonfiction and memoirs, helped me significantly. It was, I think, a turning point. I think I was living in a closed-minded life in college. I had set core values that weren't necessarily easily changed by other people. What really kind of turned that around was reading. If I were to recommend books to anyone, I would start off with, let me actually bring this up. I know these books can be very commonly known, right? The first book that I read was Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. I highly recommend this. This is the first book that has ever changed my perspectives in life. And then the second one is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I was kind of intimidated by the length of the book. I literally did not read as a child. That's why I struggled so much when I was doing ACT. Oh my god, good times. This one is, I would say, what a lot of pre-med or med students read, or anyone in healthcare. It's very emotional and very sentimental. I like to highlight as I read because I like to put myself into authors or the narrator's shoes. I remember I was highlighting the last paragraph. Do I have it here? Yeah. I highlighted the last paragraph and then I was turning a page, and that was the end of the book. It was that like eye-opening. I can't think of the right word, but when I realized that that was the end of the book, it just changed. The last book that I would like to recommend is Educated by Tara Westover. How did I find these books? Well, I went to Target. I had so much time to myself. I thought that I could just walk around my neighborhood and go walk into Target, and then I realized that there was a book section. Never in my life did I know that there was a book section at Target. I mean, I hardly went to Target before, so I guess that makes sense. I was just surprised. So I was just walking through the aisle and then looked into memoir and like nonfiction because I like to be inspired by people with their like real life experiences. And this was such a great segue for that. Another thing regarding self-reflection during these 7 months is wants and needs. I had to think about what I wanted in life, what I needed in life. And because I only had so much time to myself to think about that in college, everything was just academic at Middlebury that I didn't really give myself a chance to reflect on what I personally wanted and needed to grow. Reading was one of them, and taking time. I had been stressed and I am stressed even now because I want to grow. I stay motivated. If there is one thing about me that I would like to tell people, it's that I need stress. Not a lot, but in moderation. I realized that I needed stress, but not something that would be killing. I guess not physically painful. It happened to me last night too. There have been times when I would kind of feel a pinch in my heart area, and I have been seeing doctors overseas and in the States regarding that pain, and it has to do with stress. But I can't live without stress. That's the thing. So I'm having like a toxic relationship with stress. The 7 months really taught me that I needed to be stressed, or I guess another way to say it is that I needed to focus on things that really mattered most. Obviously, good grades matter. Your social circle matters, your habits matter, but at the end of the day, I personally think it really helps if you have a certain goal that you want to reach for, whether it be short-term or long-term. Again, it's not like every day I would wake up and be like, oh my God, today I'm gonna work on this because I want to achieve this mission by the end of 7 months. I still have this HSK1 book that is new, and Duolingo app that I haven't gone into since last summer. I have a lot to work on. The 7 months, it wasn't anything, you know, productive in that I completed something, but it was definitely a start of things that I realized were worth doing or exploring. With all that said, was early graduation worth it? You tell me. I just want to mention that this is very personal, and what you do post-graduation is subject to change. It doesn't apply to every single one of you who's thinking of graduating early. But I also do want to give you a heads up that if you are graduating early, make sure that your plan is structured. And I'm sure whatever you plan will be more structured than what I had, because mine was not structured at all. I hope that this video was helpful in any way possible. And if you have any questions about early graduation or want to know more about it or other things, feel free to comment down below and I'll be more than happy to answer to those questions. I am planning to be more active on YouTube anyway, and so your questions or comments would be a very nice addition to what I am planning to post on YouTube, which will be about my retrospective thoughts on college. So I'm planning to talk about whether some things or my actions at Middlebury were worth it. Because I started my full-time job, my first full-time job right after college, or I guess after a long period of time, I can speak for myself and can also be pretty honest. I mean, I'm already kind of honest, but I'll be more honest. And I would also be happy to talk about career and networking, because I think that Middlebury might not be necessarily one of the target schools for a lot of companies, and so that's something that I would love to talk about. Anyway, if you have any thoughts on those or anything else, feel free to comment down below and I'll see you next time. And feel free to subscribe, by the way, so that you are notified of anything that I post next time. Bye bye!